But let's now speak to people who regularly attend church services there at the Synagogue Church of All Nations. I'm joined by Advocate Johnny Klopper and his wife Dorothy to speak to us about the reasons why they go to the Synagogue Church of All Nations. Johnny, you've been there over 25 times since 2003, I believe. Dorothy, a little over 13, 15 times that you've been there. Let's speak about why you go to Synagogue Church of All Nations. Johnny, I'm going to start with you.
Well, you know, it's difficult to say why it is so different than, you know, any other Pentecostal church in South Africa, but I can tell you, I had the privilege of going up there the first time in 2003. And I was invited by one of my clients to go up there, and I at first didn't know what to expect, but that thing I know, that the first time I arrived in Lagos at the synagogue, I experienced something that changed my life forever. And ever since I've met the man of God, my life, every time I go there, I can see how I make leaps forward in my faith life. TB Joshua as a man is a humble man, and he's taught me so much as a spiritual father, but also as a prophet. You know, I see somebody, when he speaks as a prophet, he speaks as a man with authority, a man that hears from God. And I respect that. And you know, when you are there and you experience what God is doing in Nigeria today and how it affects the world through the ministry of TB Joshua, you cannot but have the greatest respect for the man, because I know him and I've known him since 2003, and I've had the privilege subsequently to travel the world with him in different capacities, you know, in different times. But I've seen this man being so humble, and yet God uses him in such a mighty way. And you know, his message is so profound. And you know, I went there as a Afrikaans speaking white South African that had at that point in time has never visited Nigeria before, and from day one it was like it is family.
I want to ask you now about the common discourse. A number of people saying those who go to SCOAN are naive, that they're being manipulated, that this is a cult, that they're under some sort of spell. As a learned advocate, you don't fit that profile, I'd imagine. What do you have to say?
Well, you know, experience is never at the mercy of any argument. I went there in 2003, and I've been going ever since, because I can testify to having that personal experience, not just with the man TB Joshua, but with God as a Christian, as one that has, through the ministry, I've been taught how to communicate with God more effectively, how to hear his voice, how to make God's word the standard of my life. And you know, those experiences come from my commitment as a Christian to what I believe in and what I follow. TB Joshua is just somebody that has guided me and has pointed the way for me. And for that I respect him, and I am forever grateful for his influence in my life.
I'm going to bring in your wife as briefly as possible. Dorothy, what do you know about what happened? I mean, we know that the official stance from the church is that there is a third party involved in this. There's some sort of, it wasn't a structural defect, that it was an organized collapse, that it was something that was orchestrated, that it's some sort of persecution against the church, it's a targeted approach. What do you have to say? Who do you blame for this?
I would definitely blame a third party, because, you know, because of TB Joshua's authority and his influence. Obviously, the powers of darkness are not happy with what he's doing. And there's been so many assaults on his life and on the ministry, you know, to bring it down. And, you know, if you know how he feels and loves all his guests visiting the synagogue, you would know that he would never in any way take any shortcut concerning their well-being and, you know, living quarters. And I would, my first thought immediately would be, it's a sabotage.
Sabotage.
Yes.
And of course that inquest into exactly what happened is still underway, so it is quite premature for us to assume and to guess. But as an advocate, What do you think should happen legally when it comes to all of this? We know no arrests have been made. We know that there's no investigation underway in Nigeria regarding the accusations of perhaps terrorism attack or sabotage. So nobody's looking into that at the moment. What's going on with this?
Well, the Prophet says if something is not done well, it is not done at all. So the law must take its course, and, you know, if there needs to be a thorough investigation, that needs to be done. I can only speak from, you know, my own experiences, and during my recent stay there, you know, if there was any doubt ever, you know, I must tell you, I am so convinced that from the ministry side, everything was done in excellence. And I am totally convinced that any future investigation into these issues will confirm this, that in the ministry, everything gets done in excellence. And so was the whole issue with this building, the quarters, the quality, you know, and the whole arrangements, having guests from all over the world visiting the ministry on a regular basis, and it's been so for 15 years already. Everything that I experienced there was always in excellence. Where I stayed, the food we ate, you know, how we were treated, how we were escorted from the airport to the ministry, to the synagogue church, and all that was always done in excellence. I must tell you that the Prophet is being surrounded by people that are so committed to the ministry that you can see they live it. And that commitment makes them to do whatever they do in excellence. And that's my experience.
Dorothy, will you be returning?
Absolutely. As often as I can.
I take it you will as well.
There's no doubt in my mind that, you know, my life will go forward in giant leaps. The more I behold him, the more I become like him. And I'm referring to Jesus Christ. TB Joshua showed us the way to Jesus Christ. And I am forever grateful for his ministry. I will always support it, and I can tell you, he's a man of God. He's a man called for this day as a prophet unto the nations. And that has never changed.
So the allegations of a lack of the plans, there were no plans, they're being alleged there, those don't deter you?
Absolutely not. I have personally experienced that those accusations are not true. That's why I say, you know, if something is investigated properly, the truth will prevail.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so very much for having joined us this morning. The Kloppers, Johnny Klopper, as well as his wife, Dorothy. Thank you again for your time. And they'll be making a number of people who are set to be requesting to go to Nigeria. We spoke to the spokesperson of the Synagogue Church of All Nations a while ago, Mr. China there, Pali China, saying 8,000 South Africans since the tragedy have submitted their applications. They want to go to Nigeria. The incident has not deterred them in any way, shape or form.